You're listening to Housecast, the official Lowerhouse Cricket Club podcast. Shout out to our sponsors Spoonful of Sweets, Virtual Food Service, Milltown Pies and Rexel. Up the house.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Housecast, Lowerhouse Cricket Club's podcast. We've got ourselves together, we've got ourselves in some form of order because we've missed recording due to various reasons, and believe it or not, we're all together. The four of us are together at Lowerhouse one dark December night trying to get another podcast out to you all. So I'll introduce everyone first and then we'll just have a few formalities before we go into the events of last season. So on my right, with no video, I'm sorry about that, but on my right we've got Gav Shields. How's it going, Gav?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, not so bad, thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah, good to see you. It's a bit bizarre, really. We're in mid-December. It's freezing cold in club. We've all got hats, gloves, and a scarf, and Gav's in his shorts and flip-flops.
Just have a roll, Jez. You know me. Yeah. Just have a roll. I'm comfortable,
you're looking cool. You're looking cool. Yeah.
Well, you know.
Good. Clarets, are we?
It's just going to be a tough season, mate. Really.
Yeah.
They're playing like what they are, young set of lads playing at a good level, and they're getting punished for mistakes that they make. But you can't fault their effort and commitment. You know, last season were great. This season's been difficult. You know, it is frustrating, but you know, me myself, I just try and get behind them really. And
I heard you. When we came to the club about half an hour ago, me and Gav's had 4 pints of Guinness already, and Stan were here, and a lovely conversation. You're not slagging them off, proper fans, get behind them, and what happens? That great year last year, and
everyone's entitled to their opinion, Jez, aren't they? Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Of course they are. So opposite Gav, I mean it's worth mentioning that we are having a curry together, the four of us tonight, and that's the only reason that Dooch has turned up. We've got Joe Beneducci. Dooch, how's your winter been going?
Good, thank you. Yeah,
good lad.
Good to have a break from cricket. I like getting to the end of the season and having a break from selection matters.
Yeah, it's funny that because Stan said that for years, hasn't he? That I don't know, his is the ground. He said, but it's so good when it finishes. Whereas, and I suppose as a player, I don't know how it would have been. I would look forward to the football or whatever, and I suppose you've got your golf, so you can just switch off and not get all that hassle of text messages.
Yeah, just phone calls and stuff during the week. It is a pain in the ass at times, so it is good to.
I mean, it's something we could maybe go into about last year. I mean, not into personalities or how selections got difficult, but it'd be good to, because people don't realise that.
No.
You know, proper fans don't realise that. You know, the hassle that goes on behind, so maybe we could have a little chat about that.
Okay.
And then opposite me is my best buddy, Joe Martin. How's it going, Joe?
Very well, thanks, Jez. Hello, chaps.
Evening.
Lovely.
Hi.
Great.
It is a bit weird actually doing it live rather than on a screen, because on a screen you can just look away, can't you?
Yeah,
and
like
that. Messaging each other. You know what that nickname just said? Especially when I get it all wrong.
I try and avoid eye contact at all points as well, Jez. So
in this or on?
Just in general.
Oh dear.
It's very awkward.
Why?
I don't know. It's just looking directly into people. I did it at Gav then, and immediately the tension rose a little bit
It's
in the
a good
room.
Communication.
Oh, I know it is. That's why I'm
is.
really bad at communicating with people.
Right. Oh, that's a shame. We'll have to work on it.
Yeah.
So this winter, what have you been up to since the cricket's finished?
Oh, right. I've been running.
Right. Who from?
Who from? Oh,
Girls.
sorry. No.
You're keeping yourself fit. You're looking
Always,
lean.
yeah. Well, that's nice of you to say, Jess, because Paddy said I look like a heroin addict.
Nice, is it?
It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
I'm overly thin.
No, you don't think you're overly thin.
No, I don't either. But you know, these things. But it's fine, right?
You're an athlete.
Of a fashion, yeah.
If I could interrupt, Jez, I think it's a pertinent question to ask then after that. You're not a heroin addict, are you, Joe?
No, I'm not.
Good.
Just for the record.
For the record.
Don't do drugs, kids. No, you don't want to see those. They're very weird.
So, but you've been out trotting.
I've been out running.
A few runs.
And that's it really, Jez. I haven't really.
Work's busy.
Work is busy. We've been called back to the office.
Right, okay.
So I'm doing 3 days of work, 3 days a week.
Not be happy at
called
that,
back
will
to
you?
office because you've only been doing 3 days work.
In 3 days a week in the office now.
You manage that though, won't you?
It's
young
fine.
lad.
Where is the office?
It's in Manchester, next to Piccadilly Station.
Do you
If anybody
drive?
wants to come to visit, I do drive because I don't
Why
want people
don't
to
you
cough on me
Just explain that. You don't want people to cough on you.
on the train.
So, right, sorry.
Is that a regular occurrence?
I don't know. I think I just attract people.
Right.
But and it also goes to Victoria and not Piccadilly, so it'd be another like half an hour walk across Manchester city centre,
Yeah.
and that's not for me.
No, you're not fancy
I suppose more people could cough on you as well, then, couldn't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why don't you cycle it?
Have you got to drop it?
You're being silly now, Joe. Joe, don't take them on. You're being silly.
I think it's 26 miles.
No, that's just how long a marathon is.
So anyway, so you're going back to work.
Yeah, gone back to work, so I've been busy at that. I've been running, and that's that. I don't do a great
And you're
deal
busy-
else.
busy lad.
And we've been coaching as well, actually. We've been doing different masterclasses for some of the kids at the club
So
with
who's
different
involved
specialisms.
Who's involved in that?
So Nigel and John Briley have been leading those sessions.
So that's Nigel Brown.
Nigel
who's
Brown.
been down here for years
Yeah.
and done a sterling job for us. Yeah.
And John Briley, who came last
yeah.
year to do the 3s and 4s.
Lad from Todd.
Yeah, and he was a good player by all accounts. So
yeah.
yeah.
And a lovely lad.
Yeah, so he's been doing some coaching with the juniors, which has been really good, different voice, and then we've done different masterclasses. So Nigel's been doing fast bowling, Paddy's done some spin bowling sessions.
Fantastic.
Who's been doing wicket keeping sessions?
Me and John did the wicket keeping sessions.
Again.
So, when we obviously it's a shame this isn't on video. Gav's being a clown, pretending to
No,
be
not at
bored
all.
and pretending. But it interests me. What age groups are we looking at?
So we've been doing some work with, I think 9 to 11-year-olds to begin with.
Right.
For the first 5 weeks to do some skills and drills before they come back and do that after Christmas as well, and then anything up to 13, 14 for the masterclasses.
And they're Lowerhouse juniors. Fantastic. How many are involved?
So we were quite selective this year with with those sessions. So we're probably looking 20 per session.
Brilliant.
Whereas after Christmas there'll be 40, 50 kids there on a Friday night.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic. And that is going back, and I know Joe and Gav will think it's a bit boring, but that's going back to the days of before we had that stand set up. We didn't have this influx of junior players coming through and keep coming through. So
Yeah, it's very valuable, I think.
I agree 100%. So let's move on, because it's just me and you chatting here and these two have nodded off. So last year we're here to discuss the season that has just gone. I think just a few ground rules really. Joe Beneducci was heavily involved with the selection process, the running of the first team specifically, along with obviously Ben the captain, and Stan would have been involved with that process really. So I'm going to ask Joe first around what he thought about the season, how it went for him, how it went for the club and the players, and just to get his input on it. So Dooch, the floor's yours. Just tell us how it went for you.
Well, obviously it ended in disappointing fashion, and that's the thing that we all remember.
Yeah.
Most freshly, if that's the right word. From around the time of the cup final towards the end of the season, there's no getting away from it. That was a fairly dramatic drop off in where we'd been prior to that. I think we were probably top of the league after the Darwin game, which was late July, was it, Joe, do you think, roughly?
Yeah, possibly the start of August.
Yeah.
July, yeah.
Start of August, yeah, because Ruan had gone home, hadn't he, when we played Darwin away.
Yes.
Because Pretorius did that game.
Yeah.
So, into August, we're still top of the league and in a cup final. and then 6 weeks later we've lost the cup final and finished about 6th.
Yeah.
Which does demonstrate the drop off that we had there. Difficult to put your finger on what happened there and why. We have had a few discussions internally as to what we think caused that. We haven't really come up with any concrete answers as to why. What's caused the change in form for that last 6 weeks. So yeah, disappointing end, but because we're Lowerhouse and we've been around for such a long time without really winning any trophies or anything like that, we have to remember we did get to a cup final. We got to a home cup final, which is an achievement in itself.
Yeah.
We were in the mix with probably 4 or 5 games to go in the league, which again, when you're starting out at the beginning of a season, those are goals that you're looking to achieve, aren't they? You don't want to be playing for nothing at the back end of the season. And all right, we were at the very, very back end of the season playing for nothing, but with 4 or 5 games to go, we're still in the throes of the league title, and we're in a cup final. So I think we do need to retain perspective about what the season meant for us, and what we actually got out of it. But ultimately, you can't help but be disappointed with how it ended.
Yeah, I mean it's a fair summary, I think, that Dooch, and I think we'll come to Joe Martin, who obviously played all season, and see what his thoughts are. But I think it's worth, between us three, just airing a few views, and it's, I mean, we've got the league table up here, and what a credit to the league and the standard and the different, you look there from 7th, is it Todd, 151 points, and Burnley won it with 167.
Yeah.
So there's 16 points between 7 sides.
Yeah.
That is a real credit to good. I mean, and it was a crap summer, weather-wise, but how competitive that's been, and it's been so tight knit. My view, and I'll come to Gav next. My view is I thought that there was a real good impetus to the start of the season. I felt that there was some real positivity. Ben looked in great nick. The pro looked a fantastic player. The bowling maybe we needed to look at a little bit, but the way Paddy's played over the last couple of seasons, I genuinely thought that the start we had, and then we had a bit of a blip, and I don't know, I've just convinced myself that we were going to come really good for the last third of the season, with the pro scoring 60, 70, averaging 60, 70 for the last 6 or 7 games, and it really, not really disappointed me. I think my expectations were a little bit higher, or a little bit too high, in that we were going to push on and win the cup and walk away with the league, and I don't think people supported Ben like they maybe should have done. I know it was difficult for him with the pro, and the way the pro was getting out, and I'm not criticising new shots, but I just think that a little bit more responsibility maybe from other senior players within that unit. We could have got, because when you look there, it's one victory really, isn't it? It's one victory takes you up 4, 5, 6 places, and then the odd bonus point thrown in is a difference between winning and losing the league. Gav, what your thoughts around those circumstances and what had gone on last season? What's your take on it?
I think my take on it is, I think Joe used a great word, perspective. Talking to other people, and there is quite a bit of disappointment kicking around, and I get it. I understand the disappointment, because like Joe referenced, the cup final, it was a huge loss, and like I say, we did fall away at the end of the season. But when you look at it, for me as a supporter and a member, and coming on and watching, you've got to put there are reasons for that. I don't think you can call last season a failure or be disappointed. At the end of the day, like's already been said, we got to a cup final and we went into the latter part of the season being in it with a chance to win the league, and you put the fact that neither pro really scored any runs. That's an important factor. Now, I know Ruan just started to look something real before he went, but if you look at the figures, that amateur batting lineup, to be fair, if they'd had a little bit more support, from either professional, I think you look at that league table that you've just said, I think that might look slightly different.
Yeah.
My sort of frustration was, as bowling points. I think it has been an issue that we need to work on. I really do. But like I say, bit of perspective needed, like Joe said, and I just think, the league, the standard is that good. I think it's silly to expect to win it every single year, and there were, like I say, there were things that went on there. The pros struggling, and I think really, I don't think it could be a disappointing season.
No, the good point you make there, and it might have been different. I mean, if you remember the cup final, it was a disaster really for the weather and the way things turned out there, and it was, I was convinced. I don't know why, I was convinced we were going to be a great cup final, we were going to win it, and a real tight finish, and it wasn't. And then, we seen, and that must have dented the lads' confidence. So we'll come on to Joe in a minute about that. But yeah, looking at bonus points, Gav, it's vital, isn't it, when you look at that league table of what other clubs have got and what we've not got.
Do we think the weather potentially has played a part in us not bowling teams out or not taking as many wickets generally? Do you think maybe it's our attack maybe not quite as... I don't know. I'm not saying this for a fact or an opinion. I'm asking. Yeah. Do we think because it was so wet? Yeah. Is our bowling attack hampered potentially by the wet conditions or not?
Well, we'll come on to Joe in 1 second, but I think it's an important point I can just bring up here. We've relied on Paddy for the last couple of years, getting the vast majority of our wickets. And when it's like it was last summer, he can't grip it, he can't let go of it properly or anything. So, go on, Joe Martin, you give us a player's view.
There were some positives.
Okay.
We didn't get into Lancashire Cup.
We'll have to cut that out because Stan will go mental.
Okay. So that was good. I think there's some really good individual performances in there with Ben and Francois, and Charlie stood up as well, which was good. I think Ducha's point on the bowling and Gav's point as well, I think is fair. Not through lack of effort, but we probably didn't bowl enough teams out last year. And in games where we lost, I think, to be fair, we got battered in some of them. So I think towards the end of the season, there were quite a few games where teams were 2 down.
Yeah.
And they beat us.
And that really odd game against Rochdale at home as well. I know that was really wet.
Yeah.
But I mean, that just wasn't really like us at all, that game.
No. So yeah, I think there's some mitigating factors in it, but I think for the players it was extremely disappointing because of where we were. I think when you look at the season as a whole, and you finish 6th, you're in it with 4 games to go, you get to a cup final, I think on the face of it, it looks like a good season, and we shouldn't really complain. But when you actually look at key points in the season, we were in it for the majority of it. Yeah. And that's where the disappointment.
And that's really interesting, Joe, because you talk about the players there. Go on, Gav. I
think as well, I was just going to pick up on that, Joe. There, I think the experience in that team, and you're not used to winning things, you'd expect to potentially kick on and really have a go at it. So I get why it is frustrating. But yeah, sorry.
And the other thing is, it were a terrible summer. So this will sound terrible. This will sound awful, I think. But by August, we were really fed up. We were fed up of sitting in changing rooms, watching it rain. Yeah. And then when you eventually go out and play, you're playing on wet wickets that don't really help batters, don't really help the bowlers. And it's nothing the groundsman can do. It's just the weather.
Every other club's playing on the same pitches.
And I imagine that they were just as fed up as we were.
So it does make it equal playing field then.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was I'm not saying it gave one team an advantage over another.
No.
It's an enjoyment thing.
We're amateurs. Yeah. It's not our job. Yeah. And you only do things that you enjoy. I I go running every day,
Mm.
and if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go.
Mm.
So I think it's quite similar when you're out.
Yeah, I understand that. But all I would, the other clubs might maybe get the better rubber, the green, or whatever, or because I've not thought of it before. Is it because Paddy's done so well for us and that spinning option has really been taken out of our armoury because of the conditions? Let's talk about how did the players feel about the Pro? How the he came with a great pedigree. He was a lovely lad and a good cricketer. You could see that, and you can see what he's done historically. But he just didn't kick on, did he? He had those 2 tons, and then
I think a lot of focus is put on Pro's batting, and I probably go back to Corbus.
Yeah.
When you talk to different people about Corbus, they will say, well, he didn't score that many runs, but he took 75 wickets in his first year and 50 or 60 in his second, and that's where you win leagues in Pros taking wickets. And Ruan's bowling was fantastic, and I think his batting he was getting used to the conditions at a time when, at the start of the season, he probably didn't need to score the runs because Ben was scoring them. Mm-hmm. And then I don't think Ben was out of form at any point in the season, but when he wasn't scoring the volume of runs he was at the start, Ruan was just coming into his own, and Francois was starting to score some runs as well. Yeah. So I honestly think if Ruan would have stayed, I think we'd have been really, really close.
Yeah, do you think? Right, okay. So you think?
I think we might have won it. I think we didn't
really
appreciate it. I don't think we didn't appreciate his bowling enough. Yeah. He won us quite a few games with the bowling. Yeah. In my opinion.
And he was so passionate.
Oh yeah.
He was
real fighter, fantastic
fielder. I used to love that when he was bowling. I can't remember who used to do it on the Test match level. Where he'd bowl
Harold Larwood.
And he'd run. He'd keep running, wouldn't he? He'd come back and run back past him mid off and come back. Harold Larwood. Let's see if I can remember him.
You played with him, didn't you?
Well, he's out of striking distance today, you can tell that.
Sorry, Jez. That's
no, what said, no fault.
Yeah, go on, sorry, Gav, were you...
No.
So, I mean, the Cup, obviously extremely disappointing. Lots of positives, I'll have it, from what you're saying there. And Francois, some of those knocks he played were fantastic.
The one against Walston in particular was really impressive.
Yeah, did he really go? He's looking older and older. How's he doing, the old fella?
We all are.
Yeah, we look to be struggling a little bit. How's he doing in the winter? Have you been in touch?
Yeah, I speak to him quite a lot. I'm going to an escape room with him tomorrow.
Okay, where's that at?
Sorry. What's that?
Me, Francois, Paddy and Dom Stewart is coming up, a former player, and we're going to an escape room.
Right, where's that?
In Rottenstall. You have a series of tasks that you've got to do to try and work your way through rooms, and then at the end of it, you're out of the room. If you get them right.
That was on telly, wasn't it? What was that called?
Crystal Maze. Fantastic. Yeah. Wonderful programme. When they won, it used to come with those like glittery things, didn't it? Those like sheaths.
Oh, right.
What?
A sheath.
So who's doing the escape room? You, Paddy, Dom and Francois? I hope there's no agility tests with Frankie and Dom, the two of the stiffest men.
I once played a game with Dom towards the end of when he was playing at the club, and I think I must have turned round to have a look and see what he was doing 20 times in a game, and he was in a different stretching position every time to try. And
he's only a young lad, isn't he? How old?
Yeah, he's younger than much younger than me. I would have guessed
24, maybe 25.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah,
Crikey.
Something like that.
Crikey. Right. Okay then. So I'm sure we will go through more points about last year when we talk about next year. For the listeners' benefit, we are having a curry night here, so we're looking to have a bit of a break, eat our curry, then come back. Now you won't have to wait whilst we eat the curry. We'll obviously stop it and then come back.
Listening to us eat.
Listening to us eat the curry. But it's worth mentioning now that we've got we've got the Lowerhouse draw needs looking at. Joe Martin was tasked with certain jobs in August, September, October and failed. So we're now going to look at drawing the November draw for before the break, and then after the break we will do the December draw. So Joe Martin's just getting the random ball generator up. They're up. I've got the numbers and the people in front of me, so Gav can confirm, because this is proper live now. So November, we do look at 4 prizes of 100, 80, 70 and 50.
Could have had like some music, like a bit of a build-up.
I know, but you don't come across very well.
Right, okay, let's go.
Shut up, Gav.
Are we on 1 to 177?
Yes, I think it is, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, there's still some free numbers if anyone else wants to join. Yep, 177. A few free numbers. We've had a couple drop out this winter for a couple of reasons, but we don't need to go into that now. So if you draw out the first number, which is £100.
Number 34.
Number 34 is Laura Hudson. Laura Hudson's brand new. She came into the draw in January this year. So well done, Laura.
Fantastic.
Thanks very much, £100. Second prize is for £80. I hope the MD's listening to this, because he hasn't won for years.
126.
126 is Paul Stansfield.
Oh, fantastic.
tremendous.
Wonderful.
No, it's not Paul Stansfield. The
Oh, it's not
cricketer.
ours.
It's Paul Stansfield, the footballer.
Oh, is it that
That's happened before.
Fantastic.
That has happened
It has,
before
he's
fairly
won.
recently.
He has his.
Well done, Stanley. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, he was. In fact, I think he's won twice this year.
Good stuff.
Paul Kenneth is going to be gutted, isn't he? So the third prize is for £70, and the number is.
Number 33.
Oh, Gav's holding his head.
30.
Number 33 is Judith Wren.
Oh,
that's
wonderful.
A good winner, that.
Deserved
Fair
winner.
play, yeah, we're happy with that.
Fantastic. And the fourth and final prize of the November draw for £50 is
Number 19.
number 19. Oh, it's Anne Lee. Anne's been in for donkey's years. She hasn't won since August 20. So well done, Anne. We can get that off to you. So that's the November draw. In the second half of this podcast, we'll do the December draw, which is 5 £100 prizes.
Wow.
Bumper.
So
Bumper, one might say,
hopefully,
Jez.
yeah, bumper, yeah, 5 £100 prizes. So hopefully, someone in this room might win.
That'd be it.
But let's see. So we're going to break off whilst Joe goes and gets our curry, and then we'll come back on and talk about what's happening the rest of the winter and into the next season. Thank you all.
Nicky and Charlie, Frank and Stan got stuck in a Waterloo. Charlie tossed one in the air and Frankie followed through.
Well, here we go, the second part of this end of season, look forward to next season podcast from the Housecast guest. We've just finished our curry off, and Gav, any marks out of 10?
Very good.
Yeah, very
solid,
nice.
Solid 7.5.
Yeah. Joe Beneducci's still eating the leftovers that some of us have left. He ate all his, half of Joe Martin's, all my bread and Gav's chips.
I didn't get any.
You didn't get any chips,
I didn't
did
get
you?
any of that one on.
None.
None.
None of them.
Hey, go on, Joey boy. Hey!
So anyway, we'll move on. This second half, we're going to talk about the coming season and just go through, what our thoughts are and any news that we might have to declare. But before we do, we're going to do the bumper Christmas draw. So this is for 5 times £100 prizes, which we do twice a year. And I know everyone's nervous here.
Down the street.
So, Joe, shake your balls up
We're ready.
and give me a number between 1 and 177, please.
122.
122
Have we already had that?
No.
Oh, good.
is Lindsay Blezard.
Oi!
Hello, Linda.
Linda Blezard.
Money goes to money.
I think his ice is full, isn't it? So I might have to put it in someone else's. Second prize again for £100, please, Joe.
Ooh, 147.
Oh,
It's my ice-breaking snooker, that, Gav.
Yeah, whatever.
John Key. John Key, do you want a little bit of history? You're going to get it anyway. He is Simon O'Driscoll's uncle from Coventry Way, and probably in early 2000s he came up here for a weekend with Simon, came to watch cricket, got drunk, signed up for the draw and still in it.
Oh, excellent.
Good lad.
He has
Good
won.
show.
So well done, John. I'll get that posted off to you. Third prize, £100, please, Joe.
Number 14.
That's an early one. That's someone who's been in a long time. We'll let Gav announce it, and it is
Adele Stansfield.
Hey! So that's not Matthew, but it's Adele.
Yeah.
All right.
He won't see any of that.
Sorry, Stanny, but £100 to Adele Stansfield, the MD's wife. Fourth prize, £100.
Number 16.
Number 16.
John the Doctor Proctor.
John the Doctor Proctor.
Wonderful.
Well done, Proc. I'm sure everyone's aware Proc used to be a quality player that played for us. He don't come down much these days, but hopefully he'll come down and collect his £100 and buy Gav a pint.
Top guy. Top guy.
Top lad, yeah. Last prize for £100. The fifth prize of the December 2023 draw. The number is
153.
John Ingham.
John Ingham. John's been in for. He joined in December 20. I think he wanned in August 22. So well done, John. So that concludes the December draw. Thanks very much, Joe, for shaking him around and
Never a problem.
getting them out for us. So let's move on to. Is there anyone who's thought of anything else they want to discuss about last year over? It's not. I nearly said dinner over tea. That they want to just clarify or bring up. Or,
No.
Yeah, I might have been a bit harsh with, being quite disappointed. I just, I did think we were going to do a little bit more, but c'est la vie. We'll.
I think it's fair with where we were, Jess.
Yeah.
No,
Fair reflection. So this coming season, Joe Martin, is there any plans afoot yet for the preparation for it, for training? Is boxing going on? Is there any?
No, we're a bit old for that now, Jess.
Oh yeah.
And I was useless too.
What happened with that?
What do you mean?
With the boxing? What was it that you weren't so good at? What?
Punching.
Defending.
Taking punches. Just not him. I'm a pacifist, Jess.
Right. So
Don't believe in fighting. Diplomacy is for me.
Yeah.
There is some video footage knocking about of him punching, which I can get to if you'd be interested.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, if you don't
okay.
mind. Yeah.
I used to have a really lovely pair of pink gloves
Right.
that I used to wear.
To keep your hands warm
They
or
were very
boxing
fitting.
gloves.
They were boxing gloves.
Right.
We'd have that, so I'd stop talking now.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Pink gloves.
So for this season, plans afoot.
So what I will say is I'm not in the hierarchy. Any decision making, not
Right.
for me.
Your choice.
And theirs, I think, as well.
Right, okay.
So I think there are plans afoot.
Right.
Because I overheard Ben and Paddy talking about them at the last committee meeting.
Right.
But I'm not involved.
Okay. Do you know what they are? Do you know what?
I don't.
Running up a hill or?
No, I imagine it'll be cricket based.
Okay, good.
And so they will probably do fitness incorporated into the cricket. So probably fitness fielding, that sort of thing.
Brilliant. Sounds good.
But,
Sounds good.
how about running, Jess?
Yeah, you look after yourself, don't you?
Well, yeah, you've got to.
Yeah.
No one else will.
No one else will. Gav, remember when we used to have our pre-season training?
Yeah,
Were you part? We used to run round Rose Grove.
Oh, I thought you meant in Cattle Market.
No, well, we used to run round Rose Grove. Were you part of that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. On Abergum School and then on the lap all the way back in, or running up to Ken Smalley's house on Rosie Road.
That's right, yeah. To get keys for the club.
Yeah.
Dooch, did you do that?
Yeah.
I have a very vague recollection of it.
You used to come boxing, didn't you?
Yeah, I enjoy boxing.
You were
but
good at boxing.
I had to stop though because
they had a really good vending machine.
I was punching bag too hard, or damaging it, they said.
What were your best machine in, Jim, Joe? Vending. So anyway, let's get back onto some serious points. Dooch, are you aware of any training regimes or any change to last season's build up to this season before we move on to?
No, it's following the same pattern. It will be, I think it's going to be 3 lots of 2-hour sessions.
All right, good.
In the month, 6 weeks leading up to the season.
Brilliant.
Aiming to end at the end of March, and then as soon as the clock's changed, they'll be outdoors.
Fantastic. Oh, that's good. I mean, that is a real credit again. It's probably the roll on from Stan and the way things have become more professional, in that there is set protocols, if you will, for the training and the build up to the season, the preparation, which can only be a good thing.
I mean, there has been one change since Stan originally started organising nets. They're no longer on a Friday night.
Right.
He liked to arrange winter training on a Friday night at 8 till 10.
8 till 10.
Yeah. I mean,
and we like to go for a pint.
A pie or a pint
in Manchester.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to do that?
Right.
Can you remember when they organised the nets at Old Trafford?
Yeah.
Something like 2 till 4 every other Saturday.
Yeah.
and it were available because that were when Man United were at home. So it was impossible to get in.
Who organised that?
I can't remember
Probably
now.
Stan.
Let's just say Stan.
And some of those, that one was before me, but I had some. I can remember going to Old Trafford for winter nets. Blaise drove me.
Blimey.
No way.
Yeah,
really
definitely.
For drivers.
Definitely drove me.
I think
over.
I got X43 before getting in with
I think I walked it. What was it like? What was the journey like?
It was fine. And now roles reverse because I take Blaise everywhere.
But you're a damn sight better driver than Blaise.
I'm not sure.
I mean, we won't talk
just
about the major incident that involved Blaise. Can you remember that story about when we were both injured and he came to pick me up?
I think we've had it on the podcast.
And he drove the wrong way down because you had a broken neck.
Had a broken
That's
neck.
right, yeah. And Blaise had maybe broke a toenail or something. And he's come down Manchester Road on the left-hand side, correctly. And I'm at the window waving, saying, yeah, Blaise, this one. So he turns right across the dual carriageway, then goes into a cul-de-sac, then turns left and comes back up the dual carriageway the wrong way. Busiest road in Burnley. Anyway, I don't know how we got onto Blaise's driving.
No.
Because,
always worth a mention, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's always worth getting it out there. So the prep sounding good. The nets out here, they're still as good as ever, and the bowling machine. And
yeah, they were done up only a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So that was a big renovation, which I think cost 10 grand, something like that. And they are excellent now. I think probably the next thing that we'll need doing after the potential tower that's being built is I think they'll probably need relaying at some point.
The actual surfaces. But it's so, when you think, when it all, I mean, how long have they been here now then?
Since 2009, I think.
And what a
Oh, superb, great facility. Yeah.
That it's got that. It's good quality. It bounces. It does what it needs to do. There's enough lanes and the bowling machines. That's all.
Yeah, that was a new one last year.
Yeah, new bowling machine last year. Yeah.
They're
on a stand.
Yeah, you have to be careful with them, don't you? We had. I don't know if we hired one. Can you remember that? And we put it in outfield and we used to fire it up in the air. 100 mile an hour. And that's how we kept having to re-elect to stay at Lancashire League.
Different attitudes back then, Joe.
It was big style, yeah, big style. So we move on to I think it's a little bit of breaking news that we are now allowed to tell people. We weren't sure if we could go through it, but we just had a message through from the managing director that we can break this news. And I think, Dooch, it's only fitting that it goes over to you as to what the news is.
So you might have seen that, unfortunately, Ruan de Swart is not coming back next year. We've known about that for a little while now, a week or so, 2 weeks maybe. And we can announce on the Housecast we have signed a new professional.
Oh, fantastic. Come on, who is it?
His name is Sach Bachav.
Sach Bachav, okay.
Yeah. Satyajit is his proper first name, but he goes by Sach.
Fantastic.
He's an Indian left-arm spinner who's had 3 years in the UK club cricket previously. He's got very good stats, bat and ball, which you'll be able to see when we share his details with you in the coming days on the socials. But yeah, we're very happy. First Asian pro that we've had for quite a while.
Yeah.
But we're very excited to have him.
Brilliant. So he's played over in the UK previously. Where's he played?
He's played 2 seasons at Birkenhead
Good
in the
standard.
Liverpool comp.
Yeah.
And 1 season in the Barnsley League.
Right.
Not sure which club it was, but it was
Right.
one of the clubs in,
Right.
in that league, which again is a very strong league.
Yeah. Premier League. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got very, very good first-class pedigree. Bowls a lot of overs for his stateside in India. Appears to be their main spinner. As you can imagine, they've got quite a large talent pool. So if he's the number 1 spinner in a stateside over there, he's obviously doing something right.
Well, that's great.
So yeah,
news.
everything looks good. We're very happy with it.
And he signed the contract, and that'll be. So if you listen to this before you read whether it's on Facebook or on the Lowerhouse website, all the stats will be on there, all his history will be on. So that's great news. Is there any special mentions need to go out to people who've secured this?
Well, there's a couple of agents, but the vast majority of the work in selecting the pro is done within a little subcommittee at the club, which Matthew heads up, and he's got a little team of helpers helping him do that, which is
good.
It's like Santa.
Paddy's done some sterling work with stats and things like that, which I suspect Joe might have given him a little chuck up with at some stage.
I might have done the formula for it.
And obviously Ben, as captain's got quite a heavy say in it, but just a tiny little bit on selection of the professional. We've looked at the makeup of our side, and we looked at the performance of the team last year, and as we talked about in the first half of the podcast, we did feel as though a wicket taking option was more of a priority than a batting biased pro. This lad can bat, but his strength is his bowling, which we feel as though that was of a greater need in the team in the way that it is shaping up at the moment.
And you can't get away from good left arm orthodox spinner. Certainly in this league, they can tie sides up, just bowling quite negative and keeping it tight, but they can also be very positive. And as you said, he has opened the bowling back home and in the leagues in the UK. So that sounds a fantastic signing.
He got 94 wickets for Birkenhead in 2021, which is a remarkable return. So we do have high hopes.
Fantastic. That's great news. Thinking, I don't know, Gav, if we can Prabhakar possibly the last.
Yeah. We were talking about that before we started, and that was the only one I could remember.
Yeah, and then obviously Curti before that, a few sub-pros that have been from over in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh. But fantastic, that's great news. It's
exciting.
I'll look forward to seeing him bowl on some nice turning tracks that are all nice and dry, and him at one end and your brother at the other end, Joe.
Yeah, fantastic.
Turning it the other way. So what's your thoughts about being stood up to, first of all, a left arm round?
I don't have a great track record with left arm spinners.
No.
I think the last, except for Pazza, we had a sub-pro called Jawat Khan, who was not impressed with the wicketkeeper
Was he
of
not?
that particular day, and neither was Blaise because he had to keep running for the ball behind.
And did he say anything to you?
I think he said, "What is this?" Quite a few times.
Right.
And then when we'd taken a wicket, he had to bowl him out because they weren't going to catch it.
Right.
And then I said, "I'm doing my best." And he said, "Oh no."
Oh no.
I mean, that's a little bit. And again, I can go back to the old days. I don't know if you two, Gav and Joe, were actually playing, but we went through a period of when Higgy finished and Scotty stopped. Of a number of wicket keepers that were, great players and good lads, but just struggled with the speciality side of it around stud up, and we had a few pros that said you've got to get this sorted out, and it's true. And I mean, Charlie did it for a couple of years, and it's if you're not a specialist at it, it can really cause problems to the side.
Yeah, I mean, I do my best.
You're good. You're
It's
good,
fine.
Joe.
So we'll see. I mean, it'll be good. It'll be a good challenge. We haven't had a. I think there's been Pazza, but he could turn the ball when he wanted to, but he was so accurate.
Yeah.
So accurate. He got a lot of balls
And
in
experience
LBWs.
as well,
Yeah.
weren't he?
And then
He was a
before
flag,
that, there was probably Aaron Heel.
Yeah.
I think was the only left arm spinner that I've kept to. Probably before that, Aaron O'Brien, 2007.
Yeah.
And then Corey O'Dell.
Claude Henderson played quite a lot for us.
Yeah.
He sub-pro'd for a number of games. He was a great player. And
If he is accurate, and I think you're always in the game. I think if you've got left arm spinner, and you've got an off spinner at the other end, you've got some pace box, you've got some, I think it's a really good varied attack.
Yeah.
When you look at our attack, it's full of talent, really skillful, but very similar.
Yeah.
That's more of a balance.
Yeah, certainly.
No, it's true that, and they can, as Dooch has alluded to about him opening the bowling and managing top players. Generally when you get to 6, 7, 8, when there's not many overs to go, spin bowlers clear up tails quite quickly. Which, again, go back to the point that we discussed about not getting enough bowling bonus points. Hopefully that might change. So that's
very
great
exciting
news, Dooch. Thanks for breaking that news, and thanks to the MD for giving us permission to break it. Amateurs, Dooch, then. You look at our squad last year with a few of the few older ones that were in there, and then obviously the good young lads that were all coming through with with Simi playing as well as he did in those 2 or 3 games. And is there any changes to our side? Anyone leaving? Anyone retiring that we can know about?
No confirmed people leaving. Nothing that we expect to happen in that regard.
That's good.
I'm staying, Jez. So
You're stopping, Joe. Yeah, you
Here.
fast bowler.
I'm thinking of leg spin.
What about the T20s? Are you going to play in them?
Well, that's another question. Probably, because I don't have to play at Lancs Cup this year.
And your brother's captain, so.
I know that made me feel if he wasn't captain, I think I'd be seriously considering that position.
No, you wouldn't. You're a liar.
You love it. You love it, Joe. You love it.
Yeah, well, do you know what? It's funny you should say that, Gav, because when I was thinking about it, 'cause I really hate playing T20. I have little to no impact on the game, and it's pretty pointless me being there. But I then thought, well, you only play cricket for a finite amount of time, and therefore you should try and enjoy every game that you play.
In front of some bumper crowds down here.
Certainly.
Semi-professional DJ entertaining the crowd.
Well,
I mean, you'd miss that, wouldn't you, if you...
An open-air DJ playing to 1,000 people with some great tunes.
Who's the DJ?
It's DJ Beneducci.
Right.
Fantastic.
And what's happened to DJ Boyle on his own soil?
He was only a
He's only temporary when Beneducci's on holiday.
Right, I see.
No, I went on. I had a residency.
Hiatus.
Residency at Ibiza.
Yeah. You and David Guetta.
Anyway, back to the question that you asked me.
More likely to have a residency at the Usher.
Could have seconds.
Harsh that, Joe, but it made me laugh.
Yeah. So let's get back to amateurs then, Dooch. I mean, it was clear last year it was a really strong squad that really possibly didn't fulfil what their expectations were. Is there any scope to improve in that squad, amateur-wise?
Yes, we've got the return of Tom Walker.
Oh, brilliant.
Which is a bonus that we didn't really anticipate.
So just remind the listeners, Tom joined us from Accrington
at the start of the 2022 season. Played the duration of the 2022 season was very good with bat and ball. Started the 2023 season, played a couple of games and then moved to Australia.
Yeah, I remember.
He'd been in Australia playing cricket in the winter.
Yeah.
And obviously something had happened professionally and romantically in Australia, which meant that he wanted to go back. So he went back to Australia, but he's been in touch in the last couple of weeks to say he's coming back and he's raring to go. So that's a real boost.
That is a boost. Because if I remember rightly, Gav, me and you used to we watched a lot that year, and he was a great bowler, very competitive. But his batting, he just seemed to improve game on game. You couldn't leave him at 10. He'd end up got to go at 9, and then. Remember, we sat up there watching him. He was fielding.
He impacted the game, didn't he? And, had great attitude, a lot of ability, but more importantly as well, he was a good lad. And he fitted in really well. And it's an important thing, isn't it? And it's great news that he's coming back. That's superb.
Yeah.
Very enthusiastic, like you say. Superb attitude.
Yeah.
And maybe he would have made a difference if he'd have been around last year.
Yeah, and he's young enough, isn't he? Well, he will still only be early 20s, won't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Very busy cricketer.
Right. What do you mean by that?
Quarter creamer.
Quarter creamer.
He's
just drinking.
No, I haven't. I think I might be a bit dehydrated actually. That curry was hot. I think he's just something's always happening. You always think when he's bowling, he's trying to take wickets. When he's batting, he's always looking to rotate the strike.
When you say it's always happening, he's trying to make it happen, as opposed to some people who just talent or just luck. But he tries to change things. No,
what's he like in changing room? Because I've heard a whisper that he's hard work at changing room.
He's untidy.
Yeah.
Stubborn.
Right.
Use that how you like.
Well, give us an example. What do you mean by that?
He leaves his clothes around.
He leaves his clothes everywhere.
And his pads. He never has any whites. I offered him
So what is he
mine,
playing
but
then?
just skins. I think he's still got Charlie's whites. He has. And I don't think he has any. And he's also no, he doesn't. He had one pair of whites that Charlie said you can't wear those, so he gave him some of those ones.
Right.
But I don't think it matters. It's not how I would pack my bag.
I really don't think that were a factor in whether we were going to come back and start the practice back.
Oh, certainly not. No, I don't think anybody was really bothered about that. But just as a kind of assessment of what happens in the changing room, as someone who is quite particular of where my stuff goes, Tom, is a bit more laissez-faire.
So do you, if you go to an away ground, do you make sure you're at opposite end at changing room?
Just anywhere.
Right.
Away from Tom, I mean.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. So, Joe, is there any other news?
No, we're still working on a couple of things.
Yeah.
One of which is pretty much done, but not 100% ratified, so I can't share. And one other that we're quite hopeful of as well.
Excellent.
But again, too early to say.
Excellent.
That's positive though, isn't it? We're not really a kind of. We don't have a lot of churn, do we usually, in the team?
No.
But it's nice to see that lots of people are staying, still enjoying it.
Yeah.
But it's also still an attractive proposition.
Yeah, I think my view on signing players, and obviously Jez will have his view on signing players. I think the odd one here and there.
Yeah.
Helps keep it fresh. New ideas. Obviously, it helps if they're young. Can add a bit of freshness, fresh legs in the field. So yeah, I'm in favour of an odd signing here and there. I know Jez has obviously got his view on signing players, but he's a dinosaur, isn't he? So you know.
No. I think it's good for the twos as well, actually, because it means that they've got something to work towards almost. If you sign a few players, the standard goes up in the first team, which in theory should make the standard go up in the second team too. Yeah. If they keep working hard, should be all right.
I mean, it's just a different animal now, isn't it, of the way that players move and what's wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. I understand what you're getting at, Dooch. And it just never happened in our day, really, for moving from club to club.
I'm going to ask that, Jez, whether because the teams that I can remember from the 90s, obviously that wasn't not before then, but the teams from the 90s, there wasn't a lot of change, majority homegrown players. Was there ever any conversations with players that you wanted to bring in, or this is our team, these are our mates that we all play together?
I can't remember us approaching or asking anyone.
Really?
How did the Mark Whelan signing come about?
Oh, interesting.
I mean, that was Matt, wasn't it? Matt, my brother Matt did that. He was playing at Worley. I think Matt had a friend who played at Worley, and Mark was falling out with everyone, so he came across. And I remember there were like Paul Webb, who were in Cops and the police, and he'd played over at St Anne's, and he'd moved to Burnley, and he came in. So it was more moving around. As far as, I mean,
not actively going after somebody.
No, not from here. I can't remember any. Stan might be able to remember a few. Certainly within the league. I mean, Haslingden and Rami used to swap players every now and again. And at the time, I did wonder why someone who's played at one club for so long would then go across somewhere else, and who knows, was rumours even going back then that there might have been some financial...
Because you look back then at the kind of strong Rami and Haslingden teams that were about at the time, and you had like Jack Simpson and Dasher moving from Rami to...
Paul Marcroft, the wicket keeper there. Griffin. He moved. Yeah, Griffin moved Ropstall to Haslingden. And I think that was, like that Ribble, the Rosendale Valley that moved around a bit. But saying that, you go back when, Steve G, when I wasn't playing then, when Trevor Jones left and went to Burnley. I'm not suggesting that was anything financial, but we were struggling at the time. So
were they really good players, Stephen? Because we got Rusty in return, didn't we? So we're fair swap or not.
Well, I think you're probably looking at Steve G, 800 runs, 35 wickets. Trevor Jones, 70, 80 wickets, and you'll chip in at the end. And I think Rusty got 94. In 3 seasons.
Don't be knocking Keith. No. He got the pints in on Friday night and Agassiz do.
He didn't get me one.
Well, he's not like you.
And the other thing is, Keith's also still here.
Correct.
So
well said.
What a great point.
So the value that he has brought far surpasses the runs and wickets that.
But for all the criticism we've just made, and then you've just pulled it all around, it doesn't matter because he don't listen to him. He don't know.
No, he doesn't. He'll listen to that.
But just we got Graham Bushell from Burnley. I mean, it was only for one season, one and a bit seasons, but he were a fantastic player. But no, there is. Who, sorry?
Chippy.
Yeah.
Just had a curry.
Okay, I'll have a steak pudding.
We'll share a chips.
Yeah, I can't really remember why he came over.
McLeod
was playing, and he was in and out. But I think going back to the point of movement of players, it's I know, and I've heard this from 2 or 3 different clubs, and I think we're starting to do it now. And it's not a criticism, Dooch. I don't mind at all. I can move with the times now and again. But they actively have meetings to target players. And they will legitimately target. The other point then comes in about, are they offering any money or is anything being paid? And I do think that the league are trying to address it with this new subcommittee they've got, where they are entitled, I don't know what right word. It's not a rule, where they can speak to the players to try and establish, if there's something really out the ordinary, establish if they are coming for the right reasons. But again, it's a really good subject. We could talk about it forever. Should we be able to pay players? Should it be an open league?
No.
Everyone has different views on that.
No. Absolutely not.
That's your view. But if it's going on under the table, is it better off being open and transparent?
Well,
other leagues, are open leagues and they do it. I don't know the answer to this.
No.
I was always like you, no, definitely not. But I'm not sure now.
I wouldn't like to see an open league. I wouldn't like to see it at all. But I get your point. If it is accepted that it's going on, which we don't accept that it's going on, but we do hear the rumours, and some of those rumours get levelled at us, by the way, which is nonsense.
Oh yeah.
But I think once you open the box,
yeah.
You can never shut it again, and rich clubs will just be the more successful ones.
And I think the other thing on it is that I've forgotten what I was going to say, but it's fine. Let's move on.
Good chat, Joe. Good chat.
I can't remember. It was going to be profound.
Yeah. Well, you keep thinking about
Thanks,
it,
Jez.
and we'll move on from it. So, is there potentially any other movement for players coming in of all sorts of different ages, young kids coming through? What we're looking like from the thirds and the seconds, and
You better ask our junior coach.
to get into the first team.
So I think that we were not surprised by Simi coming into the first team last year. We weren't surprised in terms of we've always known that Simi could play in the first team. I don't think we expected it, to be honest with you, because he was made second team captain. But did fantastically when he came in, added quite a lot of aggression in that middle order, which was good. I think for the second team this year and the thirds and fourths as well, it's about consolidating their position, scoring lots of runs, occupying the crease, and trying to take as many wickets as you can, because I think
summed up the game of cricket there.
Well, yeah, of course, but I think that it's a massive difference coming into the first team if you've scored 700 runs than if you're coming in with 250, 300 runs and sort of thinking that you're going to be in the first team.
And also, now the second team we've got in the first division, thankfully they've maintained that position. It just makes you stronger cricketers. That if you get in, your average is going up, and you're winning.
Sorry to interrupt there, but second team cricket is senior cricket.
Definitely.
And what's senior cricket all about?
Yeah.
It's about winning.
Yeah.
Fourth 11 is where we have development.
Yeah.
Third 11, that's development cricket.
Yeah.
I don't buy into that. Second 11 cricket, first team cricket, you win. You play to win. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I do think the best way to win is if you get players that stand up and score 100. I mean, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I would love to know when the last second team century was.
Yeah, I think you might find I got one in 1979 at Rishton.
That's just wonderful.
You just have one, Jez.
Not two.
What was your where did you score majority of your runs? Because you're quite a classic player, weren't you then?
Yeah, it was French tickle.
Yeah, of course.
What make of bat did you use? Did they have makes of bats then, or were they just?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I had. I've still got it actually. I bought it at flea market in Burnley. Seriously, it was one of them counties. Not a counties bat, but it had there were no stickers on it.
Yeah.
I'll send a picture and post it.
Okay.
Three Springer, Jez.
Yeah, three
Springer.
Fantastic. The outside broke. And then Open Championship, obviously, I was sponsored by them for the rest of my career. as Stan was with his...
Open Championship, did they not do tennis?
They did, yeah.
All sports, multi-sport?
Yeah, quite a lot of sports.
It's on this street, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Got those
So
jackets.
we've... there might be some movement around more...
Yeah. couple of irons in the fire.
Irons in the fire, that's a good way of putting it. And then the juniors coming through, the squad is getting stronger. So that's all a good thing.
One would hope.
As far as players leaving, a real shame. I think Tom York Robinson's gone to Ramy.
Correct.
Is that correct, Dooch? Yeah?
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah. With our blessing, you know, he's a lovely lad, and he's gone with, you know, I think it's fair to say, you know, great young cricketer that came in, and we expected, or I can only speak for myself really, I thought he would get in our top 6 and get some serious runs, you know, 3, 4, 500 runs.
I think he would have done eventually. Yeah.
Didn't help with the way the summer was and the conditions of that. But we wish him well.
Availability was another issue.
Yeah, he missed a few games for work, which is fair
fine,
enough.
that happens, doesn't it?
He was never going to be sort of penalised for that in terms of selection, but he just found it hard to get back into the swing of things and what have you. I mean, T20s would have been a great opportunity for Tom, but he, unfortunately, he was working a lot of those games.
And injured quite a bit as well. He'd been back for a lot of the season.
Well, let's hope he gets through those injuries and he gets to Ramy and gets a few runs, as long as they're not against us, or gets a few wickets, and then see how his career goes from there. Anything else around the playing front from any of you? Anything that we need to discuss, or
friendlies?
Yeah, friendlies. We've got a few friendlies lined up.
We have a few friendlies lined up, yeah.
Are you involved in arranging those, Joe?
Nope.
So have you got the friendlies there?
I'm just looking to find them now.
Okay.
We play Ormskirk on the 6th of April.
6th of April, that's quite early, isn't
That's
it?
away, that game.
Right.
Yeah, away. All the fixtures are now online, so it might be worth looking there.
Right, okay.
Doesn't really work on a podcast, that does it? That's been
Ormskirk
pre-recorded.
away
Yeah.
on the 6th of April.
Okay.
Colne away.
Yeah.
7th of April. Garstang at home on the 13th of April. The second team have a friendly at Ramy at home on the 14th of April. And then on the 14th of April we play Ramy Rochdale away. I hope that's clear for everybody.
I'm sure, Joe, thank you.
Any questions, ring Joe on. No, that's brilliant. Right, well, so we'll wrap it up. We don't want to go on too long after our curry. We all need a lie down. But I'll just go around the table. I'll go to the first one who I know is going to say nothing. Anything to add, Joe? Martin?
I've really enjoyed this format. It's been lovely. On Zoom. We did loads on Zoom, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
But I don't know, the conversation's flowed here.
Yeah.
I'm amongst friends.
Yeah.
Dooch.
Echo that completely, and of
And
course,
a
the curry was fantastic. If we could have that as a regular feature, then we could record a podcast every week.
Yeah. Pizza next time, maybe.
Why did you say that?
Oh, ice cream for after day, is that what you're saying? Or?
Gelato. And ravioli.
I haven't got anything sensible to add, Jez.
No, that's good. But,
covered a lot of ground there.
Without getting too sentimental, I really appreciate everything you do from the cricketing side. No, I genuinely do. It's donkey work. I remember it when I was captaining, and you're taking it on and you're carrying it on next year. So it's a real.
It's just a shame he doesn't play anymore.
That depends who you ask.
Time moves on.
I'd like to go first.
Time moves on, doesn't it? But no, it's great to see the clubs in such a place, with Stan and the MD and everyone else doing what they're doing. Gav, anything you want to add before we close it off?
No. Just echo what's been said there. And I enjoyed tonight.
Yeah.
I think this could be format going forward. I think Joe's right.
Yeah,
We've done well there, so our job's good.
Yeah, maybe try and get a couple together after games when we're doing impromptu talking about that game and get those out there. Any ideas anyone's got that they want to look at? We've discussed more guests that we can get on. We don't want to duplicate guests and keep getting the same people on talking about the same things. But if anyone's got any ideas, I know there was some spectators last year that we did impromptu in the club, which went down quite well. I know the Smith family who are all over Lowerhouse and have been for years. I think there's some appetite there that they want to do a podcast with us, so we can look at doing all those. But if there's nothing else, we'll thank you all for listening. Congratulations the ones who've won on the draw, and commiserations to those who haven't. Matt Stanley.
And Paul.
And Paul, yeah.
God,
yeah, he's going to break that. Gav's probably already messaged. So yeah, I can tell he has, yeah. So thanks everyone for listening. Please support, like and everything else with regard the podcast and the cricket for next year. Come along and watch us. Thanks very much, everybody.
Order! Send more house to save the house!